The colony of New Hope was not the kind of place where you expected your life to change forever. It was a rough, dusty mining outpost, far from the bright lights of the core worlds. Its red canyons were shaped by endless wind and the steady work of humans, machines, and a few alien laborers who had come for jobs no one else wanted. Alex Carter had been living here for almost 2 years, earning credits and passing the time, telling himself he was just saving up for something better. But as the months dragged on, he realized he had no plan. Each day was the same. Wake up in his cramped quarters, eat a tasteless protein bar, and head out to keep the mining bots working through the choking dust. One evening, after another shift, that seemed to last forever, Alex walked home alone. The sun was setting behind the canyons, casting long shadows across the rocks and the thin layer of metal dust that coated everything. He wore a simple work suit and carried his toolkit slung over one shoulder, lost in thought. The only sounds were the crunch of his boots on gravel and the far-off hum of the mining machines that never slept. He was thinking about home, about Earth, and about whether he would ever leave this place. That was when he heard a sound, soft, desperate, and definitely not the wind. Alex stopped and listened. The sound came again, a faint cry, almost like a wounded animal. He turned off the main path and followed the noise, curiosity pushing aside his tiredness. He moved carefully between the rocks, keeping his head low, in case some wild animal had wandered in from the desert. But what he found was not an animal at all. There, half hidden behind a boulder, was a figure, a woman, clearly not human. She was small and thin, her skin a pale lavender color that seemed almost to glow in the fading light. Her hair was long and silver, tangled with dirt and dust. She wore a strange sort of cloak, torn and dirty, wrapped tightly around her shoulders. Alex could see her arms shaking as she tried to press herself into the rock, as if she wished she could disappear. For a long moment, they both stared at each other. Alex could see the fear in her wide, bright eyes, and something else, pain. She looked like she hadn't eaten in days. He raised his hands, trying to show her he meant no harm. "It's okay," he said gently. "I won't hurt you." He knelt down, slowly, keeping his movements soft. "Are you hurt? Can you understand me?" The woman did not answer at first, but tears started to stream down her cheeks. Alex remembered an old water bottle in his bag and offered it to her, opening the cap and holding it out. She hesitated, eyes darting between him and the bottle, then finally took it with trembling hands. She drank greedily, spilling half the water down her chin. Alex could see bruises on her arms and a thin trickle of dried blood on her forehead. "My name is Alex," he said, voice calm. "You're safe now. Do you need a doctor? Medicine?" He fumbled in his bag for a small first aid kit, showing her the contents. The woman looked at the bandages, then shook her head. She seemed more afraid of the idea of help than of her wounds. She tried to speak, but her words came out in a language Alex didn't recognize, soft and musical, full of emotion. His translation app, built into his work suit, made a few beeps and tried to catch the words, but only managed a rough, robotic translation. "No, danger, please." Her voice broke, and she began to weep. Alex's heart twisted. He wanted to help, but he didn't know how. He looked back toward the path, worried someone might have seen them. In the colony, people were suspicious of strangers, and especially suspicious of aliens who didn't belong. "Listen," he whispered, "I can get you somewhere safe, but you have to trust me." He offered her his hand, and after a long, shaky pause, she took it. She could barely stand, so Alex helped her to her feet and put her arm over his shoulder. They moved slowly, ducking behind rocks and keeping out of sight. He took her through the old service tunnels under the main street, where no one would see them. The air down there was stale and cold, but at least it was safe. When they reached Alex's quarters, a tiny metal box of a room in the lower levels, he closed the door quickly and helped the alien woman sit on the bed. She clung to his arm the entire way, her fingers digging into his sleeve, shaking with silent sobs. Alex gave her some more water and a protein bar, which she ate slowly, as if she wasn't sure it was real food. He could see her calming down a little, but she wouldn't let go of him, not even for a moment. "Can you tell me your name?" he asked, trying again. She shook her head and hugged her knees to her chest. Alex checked her wounds as best he could, cleaning the scrape on her forehead and wrapping her arm with a clean bandage. She winced but didn't pull away. When he was finished, she just looked at him, eyes wide and wet, as if searching for something she couldn't explain. He turned on his translation app again and tried to speak slowly. "You are safe. No one will hurt you here. My name is Alex." He pointed to himself, hoping she would understand. She watched his lips carefully, then tried to copy his words. "Alex." Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. Alex smiled and nodded. "Yes, Alex. And you?" She hesitated, then touched her chest and said, "Lyra." The name sounded strange and beautiful, like something from a storybook. Alex repeated it, and she smiled a little, as if relieved he had tried to say it right. The hours passed. Lyra's fear slowly faded, replaced by exhaustion. She clung to Alex's arm and fell asleep sitting up, head resting on his shoulder. Alex didn't move. He sat there in the dark, feeling her gentle breathing, wondering how he had ended up in this situation. He knew he should call the colony, authorities, or at least tell someone. But something in Lyra's eyes had stopped him. She was terrified, not just of being caught, but of something much bigger. He didn't know what, but he was determined to find out. That night, Alex slept sitting up, afraid to wake Lyra or let her feel alone. In his dreams, he saw her running through endless canyons, chased by shadows, clutching something glowing in her hands. When he woke, the room was cold and silent. Lyra was still there, curled up beside him, holding onto his sleeve like it was the only thing keeping her in this world. The sun had not yet risen, but Alex was wide awake. He glanced at the small window, wondering if anyone was looking for Lyra. He knew the colony had its secrets, but he'd never seen anything like this. Who was she running from? What had happened to her? And why did she look so broken? He promised himself that no matter what, he would keep her safe. He had no idea what. Kind of trouble he might be inviting, but it didn't matter. Lyra needed him. And for the first time in a long while, Alex felt like he had a purpose. As the colony slowly woke and the first hints of daylight reached the canyon, Alex sat quietly beside Lyra, waiting for answers he wasn't sure he wanted to hear. He didn't know it yet, but this one act of kindness, this simple choice to help a stranger, would change the fate of more than just his own life. It would change the fate of worlds. The next morning came slowly, with a pale sun climbing above the jagged canyons. New Hope Colony looked the same as always. Workers dragging themselves toward the mines, dust blowing in the wind, voices echoing through narrow streets. But inside, Alex Carter's small room, nothing was the same. Lyra was still asleep, curled against the wall, her arms wrapped tightly around herself as if holding in her worries. Alex had barely slept at all, his mind full of questions. He made some hot tea with the last of his rations and set a cup on the small table. The smell seemed to wake Lyra. She sat up fast, alarm in her eyes, but relaxed when she saw Alex. For a moment, she seemed like any other tired person, blinking in the gray light. But her lavender skin and silver hair reminded Alex how different she really was. Alex gave her a gentle smile. "Good morning," he said, trying to sound cheerful. He handed her the cup, careful not to startle her. Lyra took it, warming her hands, but did not drink right away. Instead, she looked at him with searching eyes, as if trying to decide whether he was really her friend. "Are you hungry?" Alex asked. He offered her a protein bar, and she accepted it with a small nod. As she ate, Alex tried to piece together a plan. He needed to know who Lyra was and what she was running from, but he also knew she needed time. She had trusted him enough to come here, so he would not push her too hard. After breakfast, Alex checked the small window, careful not to be seen. He saw nothing strange outside, no patrols, no shouting, but he could not shake the feeling that something was wrong. He turned to Lyra, who was now sitting quietly, her hands folded in her lap. "Lyra," he said softly, "can you tell me what happened to you? Why were you out there alone?" He spoke slowly, hoping the translation app would help. Lyra hesitated, her eyes filling with worry. She pressed her hand to her chest and whispered a few words in her language. The translation app struggled, then spoke in its flat mechanical voice. "Escaped. Bad people took everything." Alex frowned. "Bad people? Are they here, on New Hope?" Lyra shook her head, but her hands trembled. She pointed to the north, toward the wilder parts of the planet. "Hunters," she said, struggling with the word. "Chase me." The fear in her eyes was unmistakable. Alex felt a cold chill run through him. He remembered stories miners told about smugglers and bounty hunters using the colony as a hiding place. Sometimes there were whispers of even worse things, criminals who traded in secrets and lives. But Lyra was just one person. Why would anyone chase her all the way out here? He wanted to ask more, but a sudden pounding at his door made him freeze. Lyra tensed and tried to hide behind the small bed. Alex pressed a finger to his lips and stepped to the door, heart pounding. "Who is it?" he called out, trying to sound normal. "It's Jax," came a rough voice from the hallway. Jax was one of Alex's co-workers, a big man with a quick temper but a decent heart. "You in there, Carter? Haven't seen you this morning. Everything all right?" Alex opened the door a crack. "Yeah, just a late night. What's up?" Jax shrugged. "Some security guys came through asking questions. Said they're looking for someone. You see anything strange last night?" Alex kept his face calm. "No, just went home after shift. Didn't see anything." Jax nodded. "Well, watch yourself. They looked pretty serious." He started to walk away, then paused. "Hey, you sure you're okay? You look nervous." Alex forced a laugh. "Just tired, man. I'll see you at work." He shut the door and locked it, his mind racing. Lyra's story was real. Someone was hunting her, and now they were here. He turned back to Lyra, who looked terrified. "It's okay," he whispered. "They didn't see you, but we have to be careful." Lyra nodded, eyes wide. Alex thought quickly. If security was searching for her, it was only a matter of time before they checked his room. He needed a place to hide her. He dug out a spare work suit and gave it to Lyra. "Put this on. If anyone comes, you pretend you're a worker. Just stay quiet." Lyra pulled the suit over her clothes, hiding her silver hair under the hood. She looked almost human now, except for her lavender skin, which Alex tried to cover with a scarf. For the next few hours, Alex paced the room, watching the door and window. Lyra sat quietly, hands clenched in her lap. The only sound was the ticking of the old wall clock. Finally, Alex could not take it anymore. "We can't stay here," he said. "It's too dangerous. Do you know any safe place? Anywhere we can hide?" Lyra shook her head, tears welling in her eyes. "No, nowhere safe," she said softly. Alex remembered the old tunnels beneath the colony, the forgotten maintenance shafts and storage rooms left over from when New Hope was first built. No one used them anymore, but Alex knew the way. I think I know somewhere, he said. He packed a small bag with water, food, and his toolkit. We have to move now. Stay close and don't talk to anyone. Lyra nodded, clutching his arm tightly. Together they slipped out the back door, keeping to the shadows. They moved quickly through the alleys, avoiding the main streets. Twice, they saw security teams scanning faces and questioning workers. Each time, Alex pulled Lyra behind crates or into dark corners until the danger passed. No one noticed them, and soon they reached a locked maintenance hatch at the edge of the colony. Alex knelt beside the hatch and pulled out his tools. He worked fast, bypassing the old electronic lock. The hatch creaked open, revealing a ladder that disappeared into darkness. It's safe, he said quietly. I used to come here as a kid. No one else knows about it. He helped Lyra down the ladder, then climbed in after her, closing the hatch behind them. The tunnel was cold and smelled of rust, but it was quiet. They walked for a long time, guided only by Alex's flashlight. The tunnel twisted beneath the colony, leading to an old storage room filled with broken equipment and empty crates. This is good, Alex said, setting down their bag. No one will find us here. Lyra looked around, hugging herself for warmth. Alex gave her his jacket and set out some food. For the first time since he found her, she relaxed a little, sitting beside him on the cold floor. As they ate, Alex asked softly, Lyra, why are these hunters after you? What do they want? He watched her face, hoping she would trust him with the truth. Lyra stared at the ground, then reached inside her cloak. From a hidden pocket, she pulled out a small, glowing object, like a crystal, but alive with shifting colors. She held it tightly, as if it was the most precious thing in the universe. This, she whispered. They want this. Alex stared. Amazed. What is it? Lyra struggled for words. Memory, my people's memory, all that is left. Her voice trembled. If they take it, my world is gone forever. Alex realized the truth then. Lyra was not just a lost traveler or a criminal. She was a refugee, carrying the last hope of her entire civilization. The crystal in her hand was not just an object, it was a legacy, a treasure beyond value. He looked at her, understanding now the depth of her fear and sorrow. I promise, he said quietly, I'll help you. I won't let anyone take it. You're safe with me. Lyra looked at him with gratitude and relief, her eyes shining in the dim light. For the first time, Alex saw a faint smile on her lips. She reached out and squeezed his hand, her silent way of saying thank you. They sat together in the shadows, listening to the quiet hum of the tunnel. Above them, the colony carried on as usual, miners working, machines digging, people living. Their lives, unaware that something precious and extraordinary was hidden right beneath their feet. Alex knew everything had changed. He was no longer just an ordinary worker. He was now part of a secret much bigger than himself, a secret that could shape the fate of more than one world. And as he looked at Lyra, he realized that sometimes the right thing to do was also the hardest. He would protect her, no matter what. The tunnels beneath New Hope Colony were silent, except for the soft sound of Alex's boots on the metal floor and Lyra's careful footsteps behind him. Every shadow seemed deeper down here. Alex's flashlight showed only broken pipes and old crates covered in dust from years of neglect. It was cold, but they were safe for now. Lyra sat against a wall, holding the crystal close to her heart. The light from it glowed softly, casting blue and green shapes on her face. Alex had never seen anything like it before, but he understood how important it was to her. He handed her a blanket and tried to smile, wanting her to feel less alone. Are you feeling any better? Alex asked, his voice low. Lyra nodded a little, though she looked tired. Safer. With you. Her words were slow, but her translator helped fill in the gaps. She still struggled with English, but Alex was patient. Alex sat beside her, pulling his knees to his chest. You said that's your people's memory. What does that mean? Lyra hesitated. Her fingers brushed the crystal, and for a moment, her eyes filled with sadness. My world. Gone, she said quietly. Destroyed. Only this left. All stories. All faces. Inside. She tapped the crystal gently. If lost, nothing remains. Alex tried to imagine what it would be like to lose everything you had ever known. Earth was still there for him, even if it was far away. Lyra had nothing except what she carried. He looked at her with sympathy. I'm sorry, Lyra. I can't imagine how hard that is. He put a comforting hand on her shoulder. She looked at him, surprised, but didn't move away. For a long moment, they sat together in the silence, just listening to the soft hum of the colony above. But they couldn't hide forever. The old tunnels wouldn't keep them safe if the hunters searched every corner. Alex knew he needed help, but he didn't know who he could trust. He thought of Jax, his old friend, but then remembered the warning in Jax's eyes. If security found Lyra, they might turn her over for a reward. We can't stay here long, Alex said. They'll start searching everywhere soon. He checked his datapad for any messages. The network was slow, but he saw a report. Extra patrols, guards checking every exit. Someone must have tipped off the authorities. Lyra watched him, anxiety growing in her eyes. If found, they take me. Take memory, my people, gone forever. Alex frowned, thinking hard. There's another way out, he said. Old supply tunnels, but it's risky. If we get caught... He trailed off. He didn't want to scare her any more than she already was. Lyra looked at the crystal, then at Alex. Trust you, she said simply. That made Alex's heart squeeze a little. No one had depended on him like this in a long time. He nodded. I'll get us out. He packed their small things, wrapping the crystal in cloth so it wouldn't shine. They moved quietly through the tunnels, Alex leading with the flashlight, Lyra following close. The tunnels twisted and turned, sometimes opening into wide rooms full of old mining gear, sometimes narrowing until they had to crawl. Twice they heard voices echoing through the pipes, security teams searching, their boots heavy on the metal. Each time, Alex and Lyra pressed themselves into the darkest corners, holding their breath until the danger passed. As they moved deeper, the air grew colder. Alex's breath made small clouds in the light. He checked his map, remembering where. The old air vents led out near the canyon edge. We're almost there, he whispered, just a little farther. But before they reached the exit, they heard something, a voice, distant but clear. Someone was calling Alex's name. He froze, heart pounding. It's Jax, he whispered to Lyra. Stay hidden. He stepped out into a small open space. Jax stood there, holding a lantern, looking worried. Alex, you're here. I've been searching all over. Alex forced himself to act casual. What are you doing down here? Jax looked around, his eyes sharp. The security teams are everywhere. They said you were seen with someone last night, a woman. Are you in trouble? Alex shook his head. No, just helping someone who was hurt. Jax hesitated, his eyes narrowing. There's a bounty, Alex, for anyone who helps her. A lot of credits. People are scared. Alex's chest tightened. She's not dangerous. She's scared and alone. But Jax stepped closer. You have to turn her in, Alex. If you don't, someone else will, and they won't be kind. He reached out, putting a hand on Alex's shoulder. I don't want you to get hurt. Alex pulled away. I can't do that, Jax. She trusted me. Jax's face hardened. I'm sorry, Alex. I have to tell them where you are. He reached for his communicator. In a flash, Lyra appeared, standing behind Alex. Her eyes were filled with fear and determination. Please, she said softly, don't tell. For a moment, Jax hesitated. He saw the crystal in her hands, glowing faintly through the cloth. Greed flickered in his eyes, and Alex realized Jax was tempted, not just by the bounty, but by whatever Lyra carried. But then Jax shook his head, struggling with his own guilt. I'm sorry, he said, backing away. He turned and disappeared into the tunnels. Alex and Lyra stood in silence, the echo of Jax's footsteps fading. Alex felt anger and sadness. He had trusted Jax, but now they had to move faster. Come on, he said, grabbing Lyra's hand. We have to go, now! They ran through the tunnels, hearts pounding. Alex found the old air vent twisted open, the cover, and helped Lyra climb through. On the other side was a steep path leading up to the canyon edge, away from the colony lights. They scrambled up, dirt and rocks slipping under their hands, until finally they reached the surface. To see, cold night wind hit them sharp and fresh. They hid behind a boulder, catching their breath. Below, the colony looked small and far away. Alex turned to Lyra. We're safe for now, but we can't stay on this planet. Do you have anywhere else to go? Lyra shook her head. No. Alone. Alex looked at the stars, thinking, I know a pilot. Old friend of mine owes me a favor. Maybe he can get us off-world. Lyra's eyes brightened with hope. Thank you, she whispered. They started moving along the ridge, staying low. But Alex couldn't stop thinking about the look in Jax's eyes, the greed and the guilt. The bounty on Lyra's head was dangerous. If anyone else saw the crystal, things could get even worse. They made their way to an abandoned shack where Alex's friend kept his small ship. The door creaked as they entered. Inside, it was dusty and filled with spare parts. Alex found an old radio and called out quietly, Tommy, it's Alex. I need a favor. There was a pause, then a crackly voice replied, Alex, what are you doing out here? I need to leave the colony, tonight. It's important. After a long silence, Tommy answered, Meet me at the landing pad in an hour. But be careful, security's tight tonight. Alex thanked him and turned to Lyra. We have a way out, but we have to hurry. They waited in the shadows until the time was right, then crept toward the landing pad. The air was tense, full of danger. Security drones buzzed overhead, shining, lights into the darkness. Alex and Lyra moved carefully, staying in the deepest shadows. At last, they saw Tommy's ship, a small, battered craft with peeling paint. The hatch opened, and Tommy waved them inside. Who's your friend? He whispered. Alex shook his head. Long story. We just need to get out of here. Tommy nodded, firing up the engines. As the ship lifted off, the colony grew smaller. Below them, Lyra sat beside Alex, clutching the crystal, her eyes shining with tears, of fear, of relief, and of hope. For the first time since he'd met her, Alex let himself hope too. Maybe they really could escape. Maybe there was still a chance to save what was left of Lyra's people. As the small ship raced away from New Hope Colony, Alex sat beside Lyra in the dim, humming cabin. The stars outside the window were bright, scattered like diamonds on a black cloth. Tommy, the pilot, guided the old craft with practiced hands. He kept glancing back at his passengers, his eyes full of questions, but he said nothing. He knew better than to ask too much when someone was running. Lyra clutched the cloth-wrapped crystal tightly, almost afraid to let it out of her sight. Alex could see that she was still trembling, though the danger of the colony was now behind them. He put his hand gently over hers, offering silent comfort. You're safe now, Lyra, Alex said softly. We're leaving the planet. No one can find you out here. Lyra managed a faint smile, but her eyes were still full of worry. "Thank you," she whispered. "But not safe yet. Hunters never stop." Tommy looked over his shoulder, curiosity getting the better of him. "Who are these hunters?" he asked. "What did you get into, Alex?" Alex shook his head. "It's not what you think, Tommy. Lyra isn't a criminal. She's carrying something very important." He paused, not sure how much to share. "There are people who would do anything to take it from her." Tommy nodded, his face serious. "I won't ask more, but we need to figure out where to go." The colony's security sent out a warning to all ships leaving the planet. "If we dock at any official port, they'll be waiting," Alex thought quickly. He remembered stories of a place called Haven's Edge, a station at the far reaches of the sector. It was known as a shelter for refugees and outcasts, a place where no one asked questions. "Can you get us to Haven's Edge?" Alex asked. Tommy frowned, thinking, "It's risky. Long flight, not much fuel, but I can try." He pushed a few buttons and set the ship on a new course. The hours crawled by as they flew through deep space. Lyra fell asleep, curled up in one of the seats, her hands still wrapped around the crystal. Alex stayed awake, watching over her. He wondered what would happen next, if they could ever escape the hunters, or if they would always be running. After many hours, Tommy woke Alex with a tap on the shoulder. "We're almost there, but we've got a problem. Someone's following us." Alex's heart jumped. "How do you know?" Tommy pointed to the radar screen. "See that blip? It's been there for half an hour. Same speed as us, always behind. That's no accident." Alex looked at Lyra, who was now awake and frightened. "They found us," she whispered. "They never stop." Tommy's face hardened. "We can't outrun them, but maybe we can trick them. There's an asteroid field near Haven's Edge. If I'm careful, I can lose them there." Alex nodded. "Do it." The ship dove into the asteroid field, weaving between spinning rocks. Tommy's hands danced across the controls, guiding the craft through tight spaces. Outside, the chasing ship was bigger and faster, but less agile. A few times, the enemy ship fired a warning shot, lasers lighting up the dark. Inside the ship, Lyra squeezed her eyes shut, holding the crystal tightly. Alex tried to stay calm, but his stomach twisted with fear. Tommy dodged a large rock, then another. Suddenly, he turned off most of the ship's power, leaving only life support and basic controls. "What are you doing?" Alex asked. "Going dark," Tommy whispered. "They can't track us if we're just a cold rock." For a long time, the three of them sat in silence. Only the soft breathing of Lyra and the faint hum of the life support system filled the cabin. Outside, the enemy ship searched the field, lights sweeping across the asteroids. After a while, it passed by without seeing them. Tommy waited even longer, then slowly brought the ship back to life and guided it out of the field. They reached Haven's Edge just before dawn, the station's lights shining in the distance. The place looked like a jumble of old ships and metal, platforms, hanging together in the darkness of space. Tommy landed the ship quietly, choosing a shadowed docking bay far from the main entrance. "We're here," he said, breathing out slowly. "But be careful. There are spies everywhere, even here." Alex nodded, waking Lyra gently. She sat up, blinking sleep from her eyes. "Where are we?" "Haven's Edge," Alex said. "You'll be safe here for a while. I'll find us a place to hide." They left the ship quietly, moving through twisting corridors and crowded marketplaces. Lyra kept her hood up, hiding her face. Alex led her to an old friend named Mira, a woman who ran a small repair shop and owed Alex a favor from long ago. Mira greeted them with a smile and a quick glance at Lyra, reading the worry in her eyes. "Follow me," she said quietly, leading them to a back room behind the shop. You can rest here. No one will bother you. Lyra sat down gratefully, letting herself finally relax. Alex thanked Mira, explaining only that they needed to stay hidden for a day or two. Mira nodded. No one will find you here. But there are rumors. A ship from the Black Sun Guild arrived last night. If they're looking for your friend, you have to be careful. Alex's hands tightened. The Black Sun Guild was known across the sector as dangerous hunters, ruthless and clever. He glanced at Lyra, who was staring at the floor. Later, as Mira brought them food, Alex sat beside Lyra. I promised to protect you, he said softly. But these hunters are strong. I need to understand more. Why do they want the crystal? What is inside? Lyra looked at him, her eyes wet with memories. She spoke slowly, her voice steady and sad. My people knew war was coming. We were peaceful. We made stories, art, music, never weapons, but others wanted our world. When the war began, we could not fight. My family, they made this. She held out the crystal, hands trembling. It has all we were, our knowledge, our history, our language. If the hunters get it, they will erase us forever. I am the last. Alex listened carefully, realizing how much was at stake. The crystal was more than just a memory. It was hope. For Lyra's people, a chance that something of them could survive. I won't let them take it, Alex said firmly. No matter what. As they ate, the shop's warning buzzer sounded. Mira rushed in, whispering urgently, There's a patrol outside. Black Sun. They're checking all shops, looking for strangers. You have to hide. Alex grabbed Lyra's hand and led her through a hidden door at the back of the shop. They crouched behind boxes of old parts, listening as heavy footsteps came closer. Through the cracks, Alex saw two tall aliens in dark armor, speaking in harsh voices. They searched the shop, turning over crates and questioning Mira. Mira lied easily, saying she had seen no strangers. The hunters moved on, and after a long silence, Mira came to find Alex and Lyra. You're safe for now, but you can't stay. They will keep searching. You need to leave Haven's Edge before nightfall. Alex nodded, his mind racing. Is there a way out? Another ship? Mira nodded. There's a transport leaving for the outer worlds. It's slow, but it's safe. I can get you on board. Alex thanked her, feeling a mix of relief and worry. He turned to Lyra. Are you ready to keep going? Lyra nodded bravely. I'm not afraid. Not with you. That evening, as the sun set beyond the station windows, Mira guided them through back corridors and loading docks. They moved quietly, avoiding the eyes of hunters and traders. At the dock, a large cargo ship waited, engines humming softly. Mira spoke to the captain, who agreed to hide Alex and Lyra in a small compartment until the ship was clear of the station. As they climbed aboard, Lyra paused, looking back at the strange place that had sheltered her for a little while. She squeezed Alex's hand. Thank you, she whispered, for hope. Alex smiled, feeling stronger than ever. We're not finished yet. There's a new world waiting for us. The cargo ship drifted away from Haven's Edge, leaving behind the danger and darkness of the past. Alex and Lyra hid in the small compartment, listening to the quiet thrum of engines. The hunters were still out there searching, but for now, they were safe. Alex promised himself that he would do whatever it took to protect Lyra and her people's memory. He would face the hunters, the danger, and whatever else the universe threw at them. For the first time, he truly believed they could find peace, a new home, and maybe a new beginning for Lyra and all that she carried in her hands. The cargo ship moved silently through the endless darkness of space. Alex and Lyra waited quietly in the small compartment hidden deep in the ship's belly. The hum of the engines was soft and steady, like a gentle lullaby. Sometimes Alex would look at Lyra and see her eyes full of worry but also full of hope. She held the memory crystal close, never letting it out of her hands, as if she could protect her whole world just by holding on tight enough. For 2 days, they did not speak much. The ship's captain brought them food and water and told them when it was safe to leave the compartment for a short walk in the empty cargo bay. During those times, Alex and Lyra would stretch their legs, and Alex would tell Lyra stories about Earth, about blue skies and green forests and the laughter of children running free. Lyra listened with wide, curious eyes. She tried to imagine a world where people were not always running, where memories were not always at risk of being lost. Sometimes Alex worried about the future. He wondered how long they could keep running, and whether the hunters would ever give up. But whenever he looked at Lyra, saw her courage, and felt her trust, he knew he could not stop. He had made a promise to protect her and to protect the last hope of her people. One morning, the captain came to them with news. "We'll reach Aurora Station in a few hours," he said quietly. "It's far outside normal routes, a peaceful place, and plenty of new faces coming and going. You can hide there, or maybe even start a new life. But be careful. There are still people who might ask questions." Alex thanked the captain for his kindness. He helped Lyra pack their few belongings. Lyra looked nervous as they prepared to leave, but she smiled bravely at Alex. "Thank you for helping me," she whispered. "You don't have to thank me," Alex replied. "You trusted me, and that means more than anything." When the ship finally docked at Aurora Station, Alex and Lyra waited until most of the other travelers had left before they quietly slipped into the busy crowds. The station was larger and brighter than New Hope Colony. There were people and aliens from dozens of worlds, some tall and blue-skinned, others covered in feathers, and a few who looked almost human except for glowing eyes or silver hair. No, one seemed to notice the two strangers who moved carefully through the crowds, looking for a place to rest. They found a small room in the quietest section of the station. Alex paid with the last of his credits. The room was clean and simple, with 2 beds and a small window looking out over the landing bays. For the first time in many days, Alex felt he could relax, even if only a little. Lyra sat by the window, watching the ships come and go. She was silent for a long time, lost in her own thoughts. Finally, she turned to Alex. "I think maybe I am safe here, at least for now." Alex nodded. "I think so too. But I want you to have more than just safety. You deserve a real life, Lyra, a chance to share your people's memory with the universe if you want to." Lyra's eyes filled with tears, but they were not sad tears. She smiled, a gentle, hopeful smile. "I would like that. My people. They love sharing stories. Maybe if I share them, they will not be forgotten." The next day, Alex went to the station's information center. He used a secure terminal to contact a group known for helping refugees and lost travelers. It took some time, but eventually he met with a woman named Aina, who listened to their story and promised to help. She was kind and wise, with the calm voice of someone who had seen much suffering and wanted to ease it. Aina arranged for new identity cards for both Alex and Lyra. She explained, "You can start fresh here. There are teachers and historians who would be honored to learn about Lyra's people. If you wish, you can share your memories safely. The Station Council has laws protecting refugees. The hunters cannot reach you here without facing serious trouble." Lyra was overwhelmed. For so long she had carried her people's memory alone, afraid to trust anyone. Now, surrounded by kindness and protected by new friends, she felt hope for the first time in years. That evening, Aina took Alex and Lyra to a gathering of scholars and artists from many worlds. The room was full of color and music. Lyra looked nervous at first, but Alex encouraged her gently. "You don't have to speak if you don't want to, but if you do, they will listen." Lyra stood quietly in the center of the room, holding the crystal in her hands. She told her story in simple words, sometimes using her own language, sometimes letting the crystal project images and music into the air. The scholars listened in silence, many with tears in their eyes. Even those who had seen much sadness in the galaxy were moved by Lyra's courage and the beauty of her people's history. When Lyra finished, there was a deep, respectful silence. Then the room burst into applause, not loud, but warm and full of gratitude. People came to her, asking gentle questions, thanking her for trusting them with her story. Alex stood back and watched, pride growing in his heart. After the gathering, Lyra returned to their small room, her face shining with a happiness Alex had never seen before. "I was afraid to share," she said softly. "But now I feel my people are not gone. They live in stories and memories." Alex smiled. "That's the bravest thing anyone can do. Turn pain into hope for others." Life on Aurora Station settled into a gentle routine. Lyra became known as a storyteller, and each time she shared her people's songs or tales, more listeners came. The crystal was kept in a safe place, protected by the station council, but Lyra wore a small pendant made from a piece of her home world, so she would always remember where she came from. Alex found work helping repair ships using his old skills, in new ways. He made friends, but never forgot what they had been through. Sometimes, on quiet nights, he and Lyra would sit by the window, looking out at the endless stars. They talked about the past, the future, and the strange, winding journey that had brought them together. One day, months after their arrival, Alex was invited to speak with the council. They wanted to thank him for his courage and kindness, for protecting Lyra and helping preserve the memory of her people. Alex felt embarrassed by the praise, but he accepted their thanks with humility. When he returned to Lyra, she hugged him tightly, tears in her eyes. "You gave me hope, Alex. You saved more than just my life. You saved my world." Alex held her gently. "You did the hard part, Lyra. You kept going when everything seemed lost. I only helped you find your way." Together they watched as new ships arrived on Aurora Station, travelers and dreamers from 100 worlds. Lyra began to teach the children of the station, sharing the songs and stories of her people. Alex saw her happiness and knew he had made the right choice. Sometimes Lyra still wept, thinking of all she had lost. But now when she clung to Alex, her tears were different. They were tears of remembrance, of gratitude, of hope. Alex understood now why she had wept so much when he first found her. She was not just mourning what she had lost, but searching for someone who would care, someone who would help carry the weight of her memory. Now, she was not alone. Alex and Lyra built a life. Together, not grand or easy, but real. They learned that even in a universe full of danger and sorrow, kindness could make a new beginning. Through their courage, the story of a lost people would never fade away. And as Alex looked out at the stars, he realized that every act of compassion could change the fate of worlds. The journey that had started in fear and darkness had led to a place of hope and light. And for Lyra, the last daughter of a vanished world, the future was bright once more.